Hey you guys, welcome or welcome back to Our Awaken. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about the importance of not fearing change. And it's one of those things where like a lot of times we can get fixated or just like hold on to things that we are used to, whether it's certain mindsets, beliefs, habits, people, places, things. A lot of times people tend to be like super attached to things outside of themselves. And I feel like when it comes time to like letting it go, a lot of times it can be difficult, especially when you formed an attachment to it, or even just like you have this like idea of how it should go and just like all these different plans that you may have had, or whatever the case is, or even if it's just something that brings you comfort because you're used to it. And the reality is, oftentimes when it comes time to having to release that thing or let it go, it can be difficult because it's just like you wonder what would life be like without it, or like how are things going to change. And like I said, it usually comes down to a fear of change. You fear what's to come, you fear not knowing how things are going to go. And it's like sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. You get what I'm saying? Because if you think about it, people will rather hold on to something that they already know. Like you already know how something is, and let's say like there does come a time where you have to let it go, or you just feel this urge to get change in your life or to experience something different. If I already have knowledge about it, so I've already experienced it, I know how it makes me feel, and with honest reflection you may come to the conclusion that you may want something more, you may want to experience something different, you may want to change some things up. And it's like you can say you want something, but when you have that fear of like, well, what's next, or just like this fear of not knowing how things are going to go, or if you're making the right decision, sometimes that fear is just causing delays on you receiving a blessing that you don't even know is to come. And of course, some things you may be able to predict the outcome of you making a change, but sometimes you may not know the outcome. But if you know that you're uncomfortable or that you're desiring more than your current situation, you already know what your experience currently is. So to say, okay, I'm gonna try a different path, that should kind of like light up this excitement in you, because it's like, okay, well, I'm actually able to now see what a different reality is, like see what it would be like to now step into this new idea or phase or person, place, thing, whatever the case is. Like if you think about it, what do you have to lose? You're gaining a new experience. And sometimes that can be a little scary because it's just like, damn, you don't know what to expect. Whether it's you deciding like, hey, I want to move to a different state, or hey, I want to go and try this out, I want to go here, I want to experience a new person. Or if you're wanting to try out a new job, you want to try out a new activity, a new hobby, or you want to change locations, or whatever the case is, you will never fully know what's to come if you don't allow yourself to experience that change. Change is not always bad. People fear change because of the unknown, but I feel like I've learned to just lean more into the unknown, because if I already experience a certain reality, I know what it feels like to experience it. I know what to expect. But when it comes to the unknown, it's like, well, like I don't know, but I'm willing to give it a try, especially if you feel like that gut feeling. Or sometimes you may just have curiosity, and I feel like that's what life is about, right? Trying out different things. And most importantly, not allowing your fear to stop you from experiencing those new things. Because there's things that you can learn. It can probably help in your character development. You could literally be opening doors to new opportunities that you weren't even expecting, just because you were willing to make a change. And I'm gonna be real, like this is not something where I'm just saying like, oh, blindly do things. I feel like you have to really sit with yourself and just reflect and think about all the things that you have experienced and the things that you want and how you may want to alter things. It's really being conscious and aware enough to really, I feel like for me, connecting your past, connecting your future, and connecting your present self. So for me, when I think of the past, I think about like, okay, how can I learn from things that I've already experienced? So basically operating from a space of wisdom, right? And then when it comes to the future, I like to think about that in a sense of what is it that I'm desiring? And of course that can always change, right? The past, you can't change what has happened, but technically perspective does kind of change like how you like think about things. And that's where the present comes in. So ultimately in your present moment with your conscious awareness, you are utilizing your wisdom from the past and your desire from the future, where now you can reflect and you can foreshadow things in the future, and you can really build upon like how do you want to shape and mold your reality, and what is the most productive way for you to show up in the present moment in order to obtain the goals that you have. And it's not to say, of course, like everything is not always going to go the way that you want it to go, but it's getting comfortable with the ebbs and flows of life. Like life is gonna throw curveballs when life wants to throw curveballs, but God is always going to bless where God is going to bless. But you have to be present enough to be able to see those opportunities and those blessings as they present themselves, even if it's really tiny, even if it's something big. Of course you should be grateful. Oftentimes we tend to focus on the big things, but it's just like look at the little things as well, because a collective of little things is ultimately what gets you to that big goal. You get what I'm saying? And I'll be completely honest, to just tell a person like, oh, don't fear change, I feel like that would kind of be like some naive advice, because it's just like, who's not gonna fear change if they really just don't know what to expect? Because you know, you got to think of like, what are you sacrificing, what may come with it, and all these different things, right? Whatever the situation is. But I personally learned, like just through my experiences over the last couple years, sometimes when you just have that urge, when you just have that feeling, that like desire for change, and you may not know like what's to come with it, but you know that like what you are currently experiencing is not ultimately what you want to be experiencing, and you know you want more, but you don't know what's to come if you decide to take yourself out of what you're in. I just feel like lean more into the unknown. It's okay to not know what's always coming. You get what I'm saying? And I used to be a person where I would say like I never thought I had like control issues, but when you really think about it, like it's like controlling when you're trying to like make things go the way you want it to go, but it's just like sometimes things are not going to go the way you want it to go. Sometimes you're not always going to know how things are going to play out. And I feel like for me, like just the last couple years, I've had to make like countless changes where I was afraid, honestly, and I was really comfortable in my position. If a person knew just like my story over the last couple years, it wouldn't make sense to them why I made the moves that I made, but it makes sense to me why I made the moves that I made. And I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of it was me moving off of faith. It was me moving off of, I feel like God is telling me to do this. Like, and sometimes there are things that you cannot explain. There are things that you can't really put into words that will make sense for people to understand, but it's just like getting comfortable with that. You don't gotta understand, you get what I'm saying? If I understand, then that's all that matters, right? Because the reality is only you will feel those like really deep feelings and urges, and really understand your current situation, understand your past, understand what it is that you want and what you don't want in order to create the life that you want for yourself. And like I said, it comes with change, and a lot of people fear change, but I'm at a point in my life where change is actually like one of those things that I have learned to appreciate. It's where I've grown the most. Even when I was literally in the dark, I did not know what was going on. I didn't know how things were gonna go, but I just knew like deep down in my heart, which is why I moved the way that I moved, because I know that like, yeah, I have to change, and things are gonna have to change in order for me to create the life that I want for myself. And it may not make sense to other people. And sometimes, well, it makes sense to me, but I just don't know how it's going to unfold, like play by play. You get what I'm saying? Like I know everything that I want is going to happen, but it's just like I don't know how it's gonna happen, and I'm okay with that. So it's also not being so strict on precise things. You get what I'm saying? And when I say that, I'm not saying you can't have exactly what you want, right? I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is like have an idea, have understanding, have faith, and move that way. Truly trust and believe that if something is meant for you, it's going to be for you, and it will never miss you. Like in no way. And if it misses you, then just have the mindset of then it wasn't meant for you. You get what I'm saying? But I just want to say like don't fear change. Like sometimes the very things that you are delaying feeling that you are prolonging on making moves on will be the very things that you will be so blessed and so grateful that you even took a chance on. The very thing that you could want in life, the fact that you are so hesitant to make a move on it is exactly why you are in this state of fear. Because it's like sometimes like you could want something and you could fear what it requires of you. You could fear what may come with it. You could fear the feelings of fear of how it could not go the way you want it to go. And I just think like all those negative things, like it just takes up energy. Like if you have to put energy into things for it to work out, and you got to put energy into things for it to go bad, why not utilize your energy and invest it the right way and just think positively? Move with faith and just have this feeling of, I know things are going to work out exactly how it's supposed to because God loves me. Hello, like come on, y'all. Listen, y'all, when it comes to delusion, there's good delusion and there's bad delusion. I choose to operate in good delusion. So when I say I want something and I know that I've been doing what I need to do and I know God favors me, I'm going to move from a space of, if it's meant to be, then it is going to play out how I want it, or it's going to play out even better than I expected. And that's the only mindset to be in, because like I said, if you're going to put energy into something, you might as well spend your energy the right way, invest your energy correctly. But to operate from a space of fear, it's like saying you don't trust the process, that you fear that you're incapable, you fear that things are gonna go wrong. And when you operate from a space of fear, sometimes you manifest the very things that you don't want, because your actions then collectively would lead to something going wrong. Versus if you're operating from a positive space, and it's not to say that you're not gonna have fear of doing something different or even just like trying something out, but it's just like, okay, I may be afraid, I may be a little nervous, or whatever the feeling is that you're feeling a little not so good about. It's okay to feel that, observe that feeling, and ask yourself, why are you feeling this? And then reframe your mind and really just like uplift yourself and try to like redirect your mind towards something more positive. Now, if you genuinely feel like, okay, this is not going to be good, then I would just say like, okay, then listen to that feeling, right? But if you know that it's something that you want, or you want to not experience something that you're currently experiencing that you don't want to experience, and you know, okay, I got to do something different. Either way, whether it's you going towards something and you know that is what you want, or you trying to get away from something that you know you don't want, the best thing you could do is lean into change. Lean into it with faith. Lean into it with this idea of things are going to work out. And be okay with, if things aren't going to work out, having your mind, okay, then things are gonna work out in a different way, or it's going to unfold in a different way, because we can't control how things are going to go. Listen, they say when you plan things, God will laugh at it, because sometimes God's plans is not the same as your plan. And let's say if you were able to see into the future and you see that you are ultimately getting exactly what you wanted, but let's say during the process it's not going how you want it to go, be okay with that, because there's always things to learn. It's literally about the journey and not thinking so much about the end goal. And like I said, I feel like that's like the interesting part of life, because it's like, what can I learn? I think about life like I'm experiencing this right now for the first time. Maybe it's not the first time, maybe I've been here times before, and I hope to God I do not come back on this earth again. But I'm just saying, like, in this current lifetime that I'm in, I'm experiencing it for the first time, and I'm conscious of it, and I'm leaning into everything of it. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm leaning into the unknown, because I feel like in the unknown is where magic happens. Even when I don't understand, the fact that my faith is strong, the fact that I am operating from a space of gratitude and just being positive, and not toxic positivity, but like I said, be in delusion, but utilize your delusion to benefit you. Don't be delusional and it works against you. Be delusional and believe that everything that you want is on the other side of fear, because it truly is. And just to be transparent, I recently had to make a decision to change up some things. And at first I was just like, damn, like there were so many different fears, or so many different just like hesitancies that I had about making a change. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect. But what I did know was the reality that I was experiencing was not aligning with what I wanted for the future, what I was trying to create. So I had to make a change. And even though like with the current change that I've made, it may not be ideal for what I want. However, because I'm operating from a space of gratitude and optimism, I see so many opportunities that keeps my head like focused on my goal. I'm still seeing a reflection of what I do want, and that's because of my mindset. It's because of what I choose to focus on. And because I'm focusing on optimism and I'm focusing on the positives and I'm focusing on things that keep me pushing and just keep me going forward, y'all, I'm actually like really looking forward to things, and I'm happy that I made the change that I made. And because I've made this change, I've had so many opportunities present itself where I'm just like, damn, like I chose to be in a situation that I wasn't all the way comfortable with. I knew I wanted something different. My opportunities were not showing the way I wanted it to, and the very change that I was afraid to make, and once I made it, doors have been opening for me. I'm just grateful. And it's just like, y'all, listen, do not fear change, lean into it, because like I said, on the other side of that change will manifest the things that you want. You just have to be in the right state of mind so that you can see opportunities in everyday life as it presents itself, and then that way you can start to create your reality. And yeah, like I said, it's a journey. There's things to learn, and I'm having a good time, honestly. But anyways, y'all, I thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.